We do want to turn now, we're delighted to turn now to Colonel Miri Eisin, Director of the International Institute for Counter-Terrorism at Reichman University. Colonel Eisin, thank you so very much for your time. Pleasure to be speaking to you as per always. I want us to begin with what is outrageous for certain. Hamas trying to smuggle terrorists into Egypt, disguised as injured civilians. Again, no doubt about the rage these reports are triggering, and yet, in terms of the objectives of the battle underground, how problematic is it?
One of the aspects that throughout this time, Ellie, and we all need to understand this, is that Hamas is using terror tactics within a terror army military, meaning they're constantly trying to present themselves as being a military that attacked Israel. It is a terror genocidal organization that attacked Israel and uses those terror tactics and in all of what they're doing inside, meaning they built an enormous amount of fortifications to try both to lure us in, to trap us inside, but they have no qualms whatsoever about using, for example, ambulances to be able both to transfer their own forces and to try to get what I would say, I don't know this, top terrorists out of the Gaza Strip at all, because they know that we're coming after them. Now, Ellie, if I can add one more thing, and I'm going to be even more depressed in myself in that sense, is as some may remember, in 2000 until 2004, Israel was fighting against Palestinian terrorism throughout both the Gaza Strip and the West Bank during the Second Intifada. And I have way too strong memories and evidence at that time of using ambulances in the West Bank in between different cities in the West Bank at that time then to transfer suicide belts and suicide bombers, so that this is not something new. It is horrific. It is terrorist. And my heart goes out. We need those. They need those ambulances for people in the Gaza Strip. And look at what they're doing in abusing any possible way of what they've done inside the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, and this is perhaps for all those who are chanting Free Palestine in all those European and Western capitals around the world. Yeah, free Palestinians from Hamas. Yet another objective of this war that we're conducting as we speak. And to that point, perhaps Colonel Eisin, American pressure on Israel to allow pauses. We're not talking in terms of terminology ceasefire, but pauses. Can Israel really hold back now? What is riskier, to go ahead or to stop?
At the end of the day, Ellie, I mean, we look at it, this is a horrific, brutal, disgusting war. There is no nice war. Hamas started and continues to do that. Having said that, a humanitarian pause, if it can be done, is something that certainly all Israelis, nobody here has declared war on the people of the Gaza Strip, and very challenging in a lot of different terms, but that means people in the Gaza Strip now, water, medicine, in those areas that have been declared as safe zones, that Israel for the last month, let alone for the last 2 weeks, has been telling people to go towards, if in that sense, when they try to let in some of the different things that are needed, food, water, medicine, absolutely. I say that it isn't something which contradicts. We need to continue our absolute commitment to going after all of the Hamas infrastructure, and we are committed that this is not against the 2.2 million people who are held hostage by Hamas, as far as I'm concerned, in the Gaza Strip. So you do it hand in hand, and look at this, Ellie, we've said all of this without talking about the 241 Israeli hostages 4 weeks after they were brutally taken on an early Saturday morning from their homes, from their beds, from their houses. 4 weeks, Hamas has never said anything about them. Nobody talks about they're in any way getting relief, maybe getting visited, maybe knowing who they are. So I say it with a heavy heart, absolutely, humanitarian relief, and let's talk about the hostages.
It's insane that the issue of over 241 hostages is yet another talking point in the frameworks of this war. And perhaps in this respect, Colonel Eisin, before we let you go, Sinwar reported undoubtedly drunken power, raising the bar to an extent, posing far-reaching diplomatic conditions behind the scenes. How do you see the current dynamic when it comes to the diplomatic efforts to release the hostages or to get any sign of life, of their condition, of their well-being?
It's a Shabbat, Ellie. And when we're talking about Shabbat and we're talking about hostages in that sense, Hamas and i24news are genocidal terrorists. And when they planned and took hundreds of Israelis from the age of 9 months through the age of 87 as hostages, as cards to be able to be used, murdering so many Israelis as they were doing so, they see them as cards, as assets. I want them home. You want them home. We all want Hamas to be destroyed. So when you ask about the diplomacy, if Hamas through diplomacy is willing to release all the hostages, wonderful. I think that in that sense, all of us understand that it isn't an easy situation and that the things on the table right now are how you can get to the hostages, how you can destroy Hamas, both capabilities, the terrorists, what they built inside the Gaza Strip for the future. We're not allowing that. That's not going to be there in the future, and how you bring back the hostages. So I just want to say that if there are diplomats out there right now who think that they can do so, go for it. We will continue to try and do it both through the ground operation and diplomacy, any way possible goes.
Colonel Eisen, this morning, I keep on saying that, and I can't even comprehend what I'm saying. 9-month-old Kfir Bibas, 4 weeks ago, was kidnapped into the Gaza Strip, is now 10-month-old, a month in captivity. It's just, it's
Ellie, it's one of those things that when we try to talk as human beings, okay? And in that I say my heart, my soul, and here we are. We also want to live in the state of Israel.